Okay, let's talk about fletching. Let's talk about fletching jigs. Let's talk about vanes. Let's talk about vane configurations. We're at that point now in the arrow build where we're going to finish it up, right? Today I'm going to use the Bitzenberger fletching jig. But there are many different fletching jigs out there. Bits has been around probably the longest, a long time. A lot of people have used Bitzenberger jig for a long time. We also have, there's a Goat Tough jig. I've got your Arizona Easy Fletch. There's a whole bunch. Boning makes great jigs as well. Just a whole bunch of jigs out there that it's just kind of a personal preference. You just need to kind of investigate, figure out which one you want to use. Start off with something easy when you start fletching if you want, like an Arizona Easy Fletch or a Goat Tough. Those are basically foolproof. You can use those until you get comfortable with it. And then when you want to start kind of being able to do a little bit more as far as how you configure your vanes onto your arrow, then you might want to start thinking about using a Bitzenberger, because there's so many different options, so many different settings on a Bitzenberger to where you can, you can do offsets, you can do 3-vane, you can do 4-vane, you can have different blades for the Bitzenberger, you can have helicals, you can have straight. So just a bunch of great choices out there. Jigs range anywhere from $25 to basically $110, and they go higher than that too. Last Chance has one out there. I think it's about $250. So, it's just figuring out where you want your budget to be and what you want to do, and the options you want to be able to have when you're when you're fletching your arrows. Let's talk about vanes. So today we're using the AAE Max Stealth vanes for this custom build, and as you can tell, the gentleman that I'm building these arrows for is not adverse to color, which I love. So these arrows are going to be really super bright. We used yellow wraps on them, pink and purple vanes. They're going to be bright. They're going to look really good. Definitely going to be able to see them. So one thing about AAE vanes is, unless you're using their hybrid, they need to be cleaned. Now they have, or they like to call it primed. They have a primer pin that they sell, that's basically makes it easy. It's a little pin that you can use. Here's a matter of fact, let me do this real quick. It's right here on the wall. I'll grab one out just to show you guys. It works great. It's just something to make it a little bit more simple. So it looks like a magic marker, and pop the top off. You push this down, and the acetone in here, soaks up that sponge, and then you can use it to clean the channel of each one of your vanes. So we want to make sure each one of these vanes gets clean so we get good adhesion with our glue. So you can use that, or you can do it the way I do it, and I use a Q-tip and my friendly bottle of acetone. I just get a little bit of acetone. Basically the same thing. You're doing the same thing. You're cleaning off that shaft, that glue shaft. So we just clean out the glue shaft, and we do this to every single vane. And I have already done the other 11 sets of vanes, so we are good to go. Those are all clean now. I'll set this over here because we'll need that as well. So now we're talk configuration. We're going to do a 3-vane configuration on this. This is what the gentleman asked for. We're going to have our purple vane as our cock vane, so this is going to be the up vane. This is going to be the one that is for these arrows that are already spine aligned. This is going to be on the spine alignment, so when he puts it in his bow, this will be at 12 o'clock. The 2 pink vanes will be on the sides for him. And let's see, what else? We're going to use the bits, like I said. We're going to do a straight clamp, and we're going to do a 2-degree offset. So basically what that means is, as you're looking at your shaft and your vane, let's see if I can do this where you guys can kind of see it. So instead of being straight down, it's going to be offset just a little bit like that. So basically what that does is it starts the arrow spinning a little bit quicker as it comes off the bow. A helical will kind of do the same thing. So you can put, you can use one of these clamps, and you can see how that's curved, how that clamp is curved. So when that vane goes on, that vane is curved. You can do a right or a left helical. And basically what you're doing with a helical and an offset is you're trying to get that arrow to spin faster so it travels straighter, quicker. So when it comes off the bow, it's spinning as fast, it starts spinning really fast. Now, we're talking an offset versus a helical. There's a lot of people that don't understand that or want to know what the differences are. I think I kind of explained that. Again, the offset is just the the vane is cantered just a little bit on the arrow. It's still straight, but it's cantered a little bit on the arrow, whereas the helical is actually curved. So when it sits on that arrow shaft, it has a curve to it. So that's the difference. They're both great for getting the arrow to spin quickly off the bow. The helical configuration, depending on how much helical you use, you can use 2 degree, 3 degree, all the way up to 6 degree, which is a true helical. The slight issue, and again, this is a minor issue with using a helical, is when you get out to distance, it starts parachuting a little bit. So you can imagine those helicals, those curves are acting as a cup against the wind. So when you come off the bow, it starts spinning super fast. It's straight, and it is moving, and it's straight, and it's spinning. 50, 60 yards, you're looking good, and then it's going to start slowing down on you, and you're going to start seeing a little bit of parachute in the back of that arrow just because of the amount of helical you have and it cupping against the wind. It just kind of parachutes it a little bit. But, that is very minimal compared to the good that you get out of it for getting that arrow spinning super fast and moving right out of the bow and super, super straight flight. So again, today we're going to do 2 degree offset. We're doing 3 vane AAE max vanes. We talk about vanes for just a second. There are a lot of vanes out there. There are a lot of great vanes out there. The great thing about building your own arrows and fletching your own arrows is you can play around with them. You can mess around with your arrow your vane configuration, how you put them on. Do you do a 3 fletch? Do you do a 4 fletch? Do you do an offset? Do you do a helical? Do you put them on straight? Make up a bunch of different arrows, 2 of each different configuration that you want to try, and shoot them and see which one. You'll find which ones group better for you and the way you shoot your bow and the way your bow shoots. So that's a fun thing about building your own arrows, especially fletching your own arrows. You can play around with that a lot. But vanes, we've got, I sell AAE, I sell boning, I sell Silent Night. There are a ton out there. They're all good vanes. The Blazer vane is a fantastic vane. It's been used for years and years and years. I mean, it's probably the #1 selling vane in the world still at this point. Boning heat vanes are great. Again, AAE has, Pro Max, we've got the Hunter Max, we've got the Stealth, we've got the hybrids, you've got just a bunch of different selection from AAE. I love AAE. Silent Night is great too. TAC vanes are great. Q2I. There's just a bunch of great vanes out there. So don't limit yourself. Test them out. Have fun. Do some different vanes, different vane configurations, and just test them out and have fun with them. So if you haven't fletched before, I'm going to try to explain this as best as I possibly can for you. It's not that everybody gets intimidated by 2 things in the arrow build, and that's the arrow cutting using the saw. You guys saw that hopefully in the first video. It's not hard, super easy. And then fletching. It seems to be intimidating, and I'm going to try to show you that it's really not. It's easy to do, and it is, once you get in a groove, it's actually kind of fun. And again, you can mess around and play around with different vane configurations when you're fletching your own arrows. Okay, before we get started, real quick, let's talk about glue. We want to talk about vane glue. There are, just like we talked about when we were doing, when we were putting outserts on these, insert outsert glue, the impact glues. There's a lot of great glues out there. Same thing goes with the vane glue. Now, my suggestion is that you use something that is actually designed for arrow building. And I say that because a lot of people just use super glue, or a lot of people use Gorilla Glue. A lot of people use a lot of different things. And they work. I don't think they work as great because the polymers are specifically designed to adhere a vane to a shaft with these glues. So your AAE, your Goat Tough, your boning glues, there's a bunch of them out there. Just do yourself a favor and spend the extra couple of dollars that you're going to spend to get the actual vane glue and use vane glue. Today we're going to be using the Goat Tough Premium. It's my go-to. When you buy arrows from me or custom arrows, have me build custom arrows, you have a choice of glues that you can use. The ones that I carry, this gentleman chose the Goat Tough Premium, so that's great because that's the one I use on all my arrows, and it's just really good quality stuff. Goat Tough makes great glues. So that's just a little tidbit about glues. Make sure you use a vane glue. You definitely want to get yourself an archery specific vane glue. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. We're going to go ahead and fletch our first arrow. I'm going to walk you guys through every step of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and grab an arrow. Again, we're using the VAP TKOs. So we are spine aligned with these already. We know our spine alignment. It says right there, spine aligned. So we know that that's the 12 o'clock position on our arrow. We know that that's where our cock vane wants to go, or we want our cock vane to go. So I've got the jig set up for the classic three fletch. So that's what we're going to use. I'm going to go ahead and stick the knock down here and get the knock seated. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out. I want to make sure that this line, this spine alignment, is going to set at 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock on the Bitzenberger jig is basically straight up and down. We're aligned right here. So I'll show you the cock vane. We're going to use purple for the cock vane, so it's definitely, ooh, I have a little glue on there left over. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works. It's magnet. Bitzenberger's great. It just clamps on for you. Again, I've already got it set up for what I want to do. So boom, that's where it's going to go. And if you can see right there, that vane is lined up directly with the spine alignment. So that will be our cock vane. It will sit at 12 o'clock. So that's lined up perfect. So we're going to go ahead. We've already got this cleaned. You saw that. So now we're going to glue. Okay, this is the super simple part that a lot of people try to make harder than it really is. We have a glue channel. We want to make sure that that glue channel gets full of glue, but we don't want it to have too much glue. A lot of people will run a whole bead of glue all the way down that glue channel. And when you seat that vane onto the shaft, you have glue squirting out everywhere, and there's a lot of excess cleanup. So the trick is, depending on the length of the vane, how many dots. I usually use about 5 dots on this vane. If I'm using a smaller, like a blazer vane or something like that, a 2-inch vane, then I'm just going to use 3 dots. But basically, it's just like this. I'm going to get this as close as I can for you guys to see. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops, 5 drops. Okay, we've got the drops. Now we take the end of the glue container, the point, and we just spread it around. Make sure it's all spread around in there. The glue channel gets all the glue. I want to make sure it's just covered in glue. Again, you just don't want it to be too much, but you want it to be enough. All right, then this is the easy part. It's a Bitzenberger. It's a magnet. You just set that on there, and it does the work for you. So we count to about 20 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, and that glue will be set for you, set enough to where you can pull that clamp off, and then we'll rotate it. Okay, now the trick to this when you're ready to take the clamp off is to make sure you squeeze the clamp and open it completely before you take it off. You don't want to pull the vane off. So open the clamp just like that, slide it off the magnet. So we've got one vane done, it's ready to go. Bitzenberger has a knob down here, you just turn it one time, boom, it's automatically going to line it up for you. I say we've got just a tiny bit of excess glue here. Just take a Q-tip, get that off. That one's ready to go. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Again, we're going to clamp it in. The glue process one more time. 5 dots. Super easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move it around. Make sure it's in the glue channel. Every part of the glue channel is completely covered. And then Bitzenberger makes it super easy. It's a magnet. Clamp it, just magnet and push it down. Make sure it is on the shaft. And again, we wait for about 25 seconds and that thing will be ready to go. Okay, this one's done. Squeeze that clamp, pull it off, give us 1 rotation. It just locks into place. Go back with our other vane, slide it into the clamp, and again, easy glue process, 5 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spread the glue throughout the channel. And the simple part, again, it's a magnet. Always make sure that your knock is seated, your arrow stays in the same place. We'll let that dry. In the process, I'm going to put just a tiny bit of acetone on a Q-tip, got just a little bit of glue. I'm going to get that little bit of excess glue. Not much at all. Not like it would be if you had filled that channel completely. I promise you there. Okay, so now we're ready to remove the clamp again. Squeeze clamp off, pull it out. I always go ahead and make my turn on my knob back to the original position so I know when I start the next arrow it's ready to go. So there we go. That is almost complete. We've got a little bit of excess glue. I'm going to get that off right there. So this is almost complete. Now the last thing we want to do is called tipping and tailing. Tipping and tailing is basically putting a dot of glue on the tip and the tail of each one of these vanes, and we'll just go through that. It's super easy. One dot, one dot, one dot. We'll flip it around here. One dot, one dot, one dot. Now basically what that's doing for you is it's going to help keep the front and the back end of the vane attached. Especially, it's pretty critical on the front end of the vane, because when you're shooting, if you shoot through a pass-through, if you shoot into a target and it gets buried into the target, part of your vanes get buried in, or if you shoot through the target, this will help keep those vanes on and keep them from pulling away, and help keep you from losing the vanes. And it just keeps them glued on good. That's one arrow completely done. These are fancy, but that's how it is. It's not rocket science. I'm going to set this over here, and I've got 11 more to do. Okay, well, they're all fletched. Everything's done. These arrows are 100% done and ready to go. They'll get shipped out tomorrow. But I just wanted to do a real quick wrap up and talk to you guys about the entire build process and kind of give you some thoughts on what to expect when you're building your own arrows. Again, we've talked about this many times throughout the series of these 4 videos. It's not super hard. It's really not. It's just taking that leap of faith and buying you a few different pieces of equipment or tools that you need, and some supplies, some glues and stuff like that to actually start building your own arrows. And again, we talked about before, maybe the first place to start is fletching your own arrows. Get yourself a jig, whether it's the Bitzenberger jig that I use to build these arrows with, or an Arizona Easy Fletch, or a Goat Tough jig, or a boning jig. Just something that you can get started with. That's kind of the beginning of that rabbit hole. It's the top of that rabbit hole. You start with a fletching jig. You can do so many things with your arrows with a fletching jig. Fletching jig and a vane stripper. So you can strip them off, clean them up, get you some acetone, and then you can fletch your own arrows and try different things. It's a lot of fun. But the whole arrow building process is fun. It is a little bit time consuming, but man, it's a great way to get away. You can go out into your garage, into your shop, wherever you have, sit down, drink a couple of beers, listen to some tunes, and build some arrows. And again, keep going back to the point that when you shoot these things, and when you see the groups and the difference in the grouping that you're going to get from the arrows that maybe were, put together real quick by the shop, or that came from the factory already fletched, and there were just cut and inserts thrown in. The differences are crazy. It's unbelievable how those groups come together when you build your own arrows, when you make sure that they're straight, you take out any wobble, you just build a quality arrow, and it shows. So I hope you enjoyed everything. I hope you enjoyed all 4 of these videos. If you watched all 4, whichever ones you watch, I hope you found something that helped you in these videos. That's the goal. These were kind of quick and to the point, and I will actually down the road do some more videos that have a little bit more detailed information in them, and take our time, and we'll go through a bunch of stuff, kind of just do it a little bit differently and a little more detailed. But I wanted to get these out here to let you guys see them, let you guys know that it's not hard, hopefully to give you some tips and tricks, and hopefully kind of encourage you to get started in the arrow building process. So that's it. Again, arrowjunkie.com. If you saw anything that I was using that I didn't talk about, or anything I was using that I did talk about that you're interested in, you can check it out at arrowjunkie.com. Please follow me on Instagram as well. That's where I do the bulk of my social media stuff. It is arrow_junkie. And also, if you have any questions about anything, check out the website, arrowjunkie.com. Use the contact page. I have a phone number in there. I have an email address. Reach out to me. I'd be glad to talk to you. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. Okay, I look forward to hearing from you. And thanks again for all the support. Appreciate you guys. Shoot straight.